just to give you graphic description, her entire anal was outside. And she had also been telling kids for weeks on end prior to her telling her mother that they should not go to the bathroom alone because there is a monster in the toilets. So this is something that the school is aware of. The way that they handle this shows that it has happened before. They're trying to hide it.
I was a bit annoyed by something that I saw yesterday on Twitter.
Yeah.
Penwell, the black pen. Penwell, the black pen. I guess he wasn't writing with the black pen this time around. For Penwell to really question the credibility of a 7-year-old, that is nonsensical.
So if his daughter came to him and said, "Daddy, I've been raped," he was gonna say, "How do you know? Prove it to me." The son-in-law of Hendrik Verwoerd.
Yeah.
He's the founder of Orania. Essentially, they're trying to defend and say it's not racist. Everyone is allowed here. You just have to speak Afrikaans. You have to follow their culture, believe in what they believe in. Also, you need to believe that apartheid wasn't that bad. To all viewers and listeners, it is very important for you to listen to or watch this conversation till the end in order to avoid missing information, pieces and puzzles that connect to form the central objective of this conversation today.
All right. Thank you so much. We are back this week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Break It Down podcast. My name is Elvis Mulifi Molf, and this is a Monday segment, Break It Down Mondays. And with this segment, we're bringing you current affairs, a breakdown of what's happening in the political space, but also with some of the breaking stories during the week that, can help you understand them better. So we hope that you enjoyed our first segment, the one that we posted last week. And before we even start with our topics today, I would love for us to just take this moment to just correct ourselves, because, with the last episode, I was very clear that we're definitely going to make a couple of mistakes, and we're welcome to criticism, corrections, and suggestions, right?
Sure.
Just don't be rude.
Yeah, just don't be rude. True. Yeah, don't be rude. Be polite in your suggestions, in your criticism, in your corrections. Someone actually corrected me with the Cape Independence Advocacy Group CEO, Citizenship, that they're not actually from Canada. So I made that mistake, that they are from Canada. They're not from Canada. They are a British citizen, right? Yeah, so that's one thing that I wanted to just clear myself on. Theo, do you have something to correct yourself from the last episode that you realized when you were watching the episode? Kana, you didn't watch the episode.
Yeah, I didn't watch the
You
episode
wouldn't know.
because I wouldn't know because I was very preoccupied with stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm pretty certain that whatever that we flaw on, hence Kat said you can correct us in a respectable manner.
Yeah.
We appreciate that immensely. And feedback is good because whenever you are conversating messages to people about current affairs or whatever that is happening at that current time within the fraternity of this world, like sharing knowledge and sharing opinions to one another, it's quite good to help grow. Yeah.
Kat, how did you feel about the episode?
I don't have much to correct about myself, but I do want to. I think there's a user that commented regarding the Afrikaans situation. I know what I'm talking about. I went to a school where Afrikaans was compulsory. It's 2025, and that school is still Afrikaans is still compulsory. So I do know what I'm talking about, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to give context, they were saying that
it is not compulsory anymore.
You don't have to learn Afrikaans.
Yes, which isn't.
You can choose not to.
Yeah, which is not the truth. In most cases, in most schools, it is still required as a first additional language.
Yeah.
And it still determines your grade of passing as well. Yeah.
All right. Today we're going to touch on a number of stories.
Yes.
We start with what has been making rounds in the news. A very sensitive topic, of course. A lot of people know the rape case of a
Trigger
7-year-old.
warning.
Yeah.
Just by the way, guys, trigger warning, we'll be discussing sexual assault
Sure.
and rape. So
Yeah. So for someone who is maybe a victim of such issues,
yeah.
or might be triggered by this type of topics, this is just a disclaimer, as one of the topics that we're going to break down.
Yes.
So, this is a 7-year-old. She's turning 8, I think, this year.
Yeah.
And she was sexually assaulted. And the story is that she got possibly assaulted within the premises of the school, because this is an ongoing case. They're still trying to prove it and all of that. But according to the story that the mother gave the media platforms in South Africa at large, is that the whole thing happened inside the school premises. And there's a whole lot of factors around it. But people now are questioning, the merits of the case. They're also questioning a whole lot of things. Right now, we found that the DNA results of the principal, they're saying that they don't actually match with, when they compare them with, the victim's DNA. But my question is, that thing happened last year, right? Even if, I'm not a cop, obviously. I don't know how these things work. But judging from how this thing, they are communicating it, I'm just wondering if, what's the accuracy of testing the DNA after so many months?
So, firstly, with how this case has been handled by the school, right? If it was any other school where a child is coming out saying that they were sexually assaulted, the school would have been on top of the case, like already, trying to find out, trying to help the police to find the perpetrator, because they obviously don't want to be associated with something like that. This school did not want for the teacher who was an alleged suspect. They didn't want that teacher to give their DNA testing. Why? Why did they fight it for so long, only for it to come out now and say that they didn't find any foreign DNA on the child? If he was innocent, he would have fought from jump to clear his name. Why is it that they went through so many avenues, even involving AfriForum in the whole matter, saying that they're being treated unfairly? Whereas there's a 7-year-old child who, just to give you graphic description, her entire anal was outside. That's how bad it was. And she had also been telling kids for weeks on end, prior to her telling her mother that they should not go to the bathroom alone because there is a monster in the toilets. So this is something that the school is aware of. The way that they handled this shows that it has happened before, and they're trying to hide it. Hence, the child was transferred out of the school without the mother's knowledge as well. The way they went about this showed that they were showing guilt instead of trying to support this 7-year-old child who was so maliciously violated.
Yeah. This is a complicated case, man.
It is. Even talking about it, it's not a comfortable thing to do, considering the fact that we are witnessing a war against bodies of women in this country. It has been subjected to property of men of this country to do whatever that they feel like doing. And we need to stand up in solidarity to become freedom fighters that fight for the right cause for the women of this country. I see in the media fraternity, everyone is free to point out his opinion the way they want. And it's quite challenging to point that some of the people, they're not even considerate when they voice out their opinion. They're not taking the child into consideration, the family into consideration. Yes, I get the point that we are trying to fight the fight, but are we fighting the right fight in the right way?
Yeah.
That would be the gems of the question. And I was a bit annoyed by something that I saw yesterday on Twitter.
Yeah.
Penwell, the black pen. Penwell, the black pen. I guess he wasn't writing with the black pen this time around. I just want to quote. I just want to quote his tweet. Ne?
Yeah.
So Penol says, and I quote, open quote, "No foreign DNA was found inside 7-year-old Cwecwe. There are no witnesses."
Yeah.
He continues to say, "I don't see this case going any further, to be honest. The credibility of the 7-year-old is also questionable, even if she pointed out the perpetrator, pardon me. At this point, we can't even confirm if she was really raped or not. It's tough."
Yeah. Look. Okay.
Can I please cut you there?
Yeah. Sure.
Can I please cut you there?
I don't support the statement in the way that it was put out, but can I give a layer
Sure.
of understanding
Certainly.
from where I think the guy is coming from?
Certainly, I'm listening.
Because look, when he says we cannot confirm as yet, it is true. We cannot confirm in terms of proving it.
I agree with you there.
You understand?
Yes.
We know the child was molested because the mother has already told us in terms of what they have witnessed, and the doctor has confirmed as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're still asking whether or not this person was raped or whatsoever, right? We know, but to prove is very difficult. So when he says, "I don't see this case going anywhere," I think I understand where he's coming from. From a legal standpoint, it's very difficult to prove this case. It's going to be very difficult.
Guys, every single rape case is difficult to prove. There's never a witness. No one is sitting watching they rape a girl. There's never going to be someone that says, "I saw him do it."
Sure.
All of them are difficult to prove. Hence the DNA testing. But this is a child.
This is what I'm saying.
At
like
what
if,
level?
If you can't find any, if you cannot find any a DNA match right now, what is the alternative of actually trying to prove that this kid was molested by this person?
I totally concur with what you're saying. Since the case, it was mishandled from last year.
Yeah.
October times when it started blowing out and also not. Now, for Penol to really question the credibility of a 7-year-old, that is nonsensical. And Penol, when he wrote the tweet on Twitter, even on his apology following the tweet that he deleted, he specifies that in a few minutes, I deleted the tweet because of the red flag that I was getting.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry because of this and that. So what does it guarantee you that this was just a stunt by Penol? Hence, he says in
It's
a few
not.
minutes. So it means immediately when he started typing the tweet and before he posted the tweet, he knew that he was going to delete the tweet. Hence, he says in a few minutes, I deleted the tweet. He was directly looking at that tweet and how it's performing and what's not for his own whatever. I don't know what would make a person to write a tweet like that on X. So for me, that was reckless and it was not supposed to happen. Considering that guy, he has more than 200,000 followers on Twitter. Like, what message are you portraying to your followers?
I'll tell you what message he's portraying. Stay away from him. If he thinks that way, he's one of them.
No, but guys, no. Let's be careful, with this situation, right?
Yeah.
Because this is something, and I'm not just playing a devil's advocate here. I'm really trying to be objective.
Yeah.
I'm 100% objective. And of course, it's very difficult to be objective with cases like this.
Yeah.
Actually, you can't
very
be objective.
You can't be objective.
You can't. But we have to try to be objective.
Yeah, no. As a female, and as history has proven time and time again, when a man says something like that, it isn't a passing thought. It isn't something they just wanted to say because they want to see how it's going to do on Twitter. That's how he thinks on a daily basis. That's his thought process. His bros, the people that he hangs around with, they think the same way, to question the credibility of a 7-year-old. So if his daughter came to him and said, "Daddy, I've been raped," he was going to say, "How? Do you know? Prove it to me." Instead of just believing. It's a 7-year-old.
There is a sick
which
children do not lie like that.
But
children do not lie.
But remember,
like
with
that.
this case, this child is saying that they can't remember clearly what really happened.
Obviously, the
Right,
the
and they can't
development of the
recall.
child.
They can't
Yes.
recall. They can't recall the actual incident.
Which is a trauma response, obviously.
Yes. So a child at this moment can point at anyone and say, "This is the perpetrator." And what if because it's not like they're lying, but like because they don't have a clear memory of how this thing actually
Hence
happened,
the
and they don't
case
have
was
they
handed
don't have
over
a
to-
they don't have a memory of the facial the facial recognition of the perpetrator. So they can't really point out right now to say this is Theo or this is Kat,
Hence,
right?
in cases like this, right, it's never going to be clear cut because it is a child that we are talking about,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Hence, cases like this are handled by child protection services, social workers,
Yeah.
because they're the only ones that can unpack the trauma. The child's brain created a barrier to protect themselves from what happened
Yeah.
because it was a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And so the only people that can unpack it are professionals. But that would mean the child has to relive that experience again. Are we really willing to put this 7-year-old through that again?
Just take a look at the recent developments of what is transpiring in our courts. Timothy Omotoso
Exactly.
Yeah.
just got acquitted from his rape charges.
Yeah.
63 counts.
Yeah.
Racketeering, you name them. He's there. They cleared him. There was a key witness that was gunned down. So you understand that
So whose problem is that?
it comes back to the law.
Of course, the law.
It
That's
comes
where I'm
back to
going.
the
Yeah.
law. It
Yeah.
comes back to the law. The law is failing us. Hence, when I started that, women are constantly in a war with their bodies, with
Yeah.
men of this
Yeah.
country. That's why I'm referencing the fact that we need to fight a fight that will need people that are standing steadfast in fighting this. We are no longer waiting for the system to tell us this is the direction to go. This is the and men needs to take action. We can't only speak about it and like don't do it. That is my problem around this whole thing. Like men, we are there, we speak, we support, we do this, but we don't show it. We don't show it.
There's no action.
There's no action.
Okay, I hear you.
There's some people within the spheres of this country. They know very well that I am not healthy mentally for me to partake in stuff like this. It's not only rape-related things, sexual violence, GBV violence that is happening in the country, any criminality of sort in this country that is happening against women from men, it needs to stop.
Of
and
course,
it doesn't need to stop only with our verbal communication to society. It needs action, of which the action we are not going to get from our law enforcement. So we need a better approach to this.
What is that better approach?
Bro,
Potentially.
like, I don't know. I don't know because
See, the issue with
Because
this
right now
is-
we are really locked with this
We are. We are locked
justice
with
system that is not offering any of us
yes,
like justice.
we open organizations time and time again to fight this thing, having donations on those organizations, but at the end of the day, it's not changing anything.
Yeah. So with me, that tweet from Penn, how I analyze it is that he's also calling out the justice system in a sense that with your proven track record, this type of case, I don't see how these people are going to serve justice to this kid.
True.
You understand?
That's another angle to look at it.
Yeah.
But reckless how he said it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe. But you know what? Yeah, maybe I'm being biased about this one.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah,
this
maybe
is
I'm
one
being
of
biased.
those things where
Yeah.
no matter how you can say and trying to be objective, you can't.
Can't.
You absolutely cannot. What he said, this is why the internet should have licenses, because people go on the internet and just say whatever they want
Yeah.
without the
guys,
repercussions.
we can't be regulated. We still want to say stuff.
But
Yeah.
like he didn't think about what that would do. He didn't think about how the family of the child would feel.
Yeah.
You're trying to point out our justice system.
that's why he made an
Point it out in
apology.
that apology doesn't mean
It's
shit.
like he was waiting to make that apology.
That
bro, 'cause
apology
you
does
said
not mean
literally
anything.
after a couple of minutes, that means you were watching your phone.
He's
with
protecting
the
his
tweet.
brand. We know how we know.
It's
Come on.
It's out of touch.
But do you think? Yeah, because that's a tricky one, you know. But anyway, I understand where you are coming from because it's a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that thing of apartheid, racism, slavery, kind of a thing, where when white people come in to speak.
Yes, we
about-
always correct them and say you can't speak because you don't know. You've never experienced it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
But have you realized also that we tend to shut them out very quickly without even hearing? I don't want to say the side of their story
Because it's boring. Yeah.
And it's lies.
It's lies.
Okay, but listen, guys. Are we just gonna generalize people in terms of such categories like race, gender?
It's hidden that way. Remember, currently in South Africa. Listen, currently in South Africa, week in, week out, we are fighting a race thing. If it's not,
of course we are.
It's on a weekly basis.
But
it's worse now since this new administration of the United States has been ushered in. Like, it's worse for every country, especially in Africa.
Sure.
It's very worse.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's going to be an ongoing thing. It's not going to stop now. Look at how Penwell was very well mannered when he was doing the Hustlers Corner podcast with DJ Sprue during the week.
With who?
With Rob Hazoff.
No, but guys, I even sent Pen a message, ne?
Yeah.
After that episode.
Yeah.
I felt like he was, because even though he was not disrespecting.
Yeah.
He was
questioning,
disagreeing.
Yeah, disagreeing and questioning. Yeah.
But he was doing it respectively.
Because you could.
Guys,
No.
did you guys watch the episode?
Wait, was he doing it respectively for what?
For what?
Yeah.
No, just as a means of saying I respect you as a person before I question, before I tap into your views.
But for me, that is more of, I respect you as a person before I tapped into the views. But my thing, it's more on, you are very well mannered compared to when you are speaking to your fellow Africans. You
guys, serious. You know, I watched that episode. Bruh, I even sent that guy a message. I was like, you know what? That just the way you handled that conversation for me.
I'm not disagreeing with the context of the whole show. But then he was just respectful on another way.
You just wanted him to shoot, isn't it?
Not shoot per se, but then be yourself. Communicate the way you communicate when you communicate with Nota, for example, on your show.
Okay.
Communicate the same way with Rob Hazoff.
Yes. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Kat wants to jump in before we close on this one.
I just want to say that, like, no matter, the conversation needs to start with men. Like, you were asking, what is it that we can try to do? Because at this point, it's at an all-time high, right? And we are not being heard as women. We can speak until we're blue in the face. Men don't take us seriously. I mean, we are objects in any case, right?
Okay.
That we're being treated as such. We're being treated like objects on auction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So men need to call men out. Stop this thing of saying it's none of my business. Bro, it could be your business. That's how the world works.
You could be saving someone's life.
Yeah, the world revolves. It doesn't stand still. And so you're looking at it today. It's another woman that you might not know. Tomorrow it's your daughter, your sister, your mother. And then are we going to stand by and say, it's not our business? So you need to start calling your friends out. That friend that says, I slept with her and she was unconscious. Call that out. It's rape.
That's where the superficiality...
Start having the conversations. He's not your boy. He's not the man. He's a rapist. Have the conversation with him.
Yeah, this topic is, first of all, is very sensitive.
Yeah, it is.
And it's very complex.
Yeah.
You know, from many angles. From a legal standpoint, it's very complex. From the way it occurs, very complex as well. You know.
Yeah.
And it brings us to the question of the stigma that we know that it surrounds the black community.
Yeah.
The therapy thing. That if you want to go to therapy,
you're crazy.
People think,
think you're crazy.
Yeah. And people have a tendency of saying that, how is talking going to help me solve my problems? And I say there's different types of therapies, right?
Yeah.
The talk therapy is recommended for certain situations where we know that, okay, here, if you go through this methodology, you will be able to, heal yourself or, get some sort of a transformation from that. But there's so many avenues to approach a therapy. Like, for instance, I know if you're because our nervous system stores a lot of information, and that's where most of our trauma is actually stored. I know that if you do things like hydrotherapy, hydrotherapy is basically like a water therapy, where you move from different types of temperatures, right? Water temperatures. Like you can have almost like an ice cold bath here, and then you can have a warm bath on the other side. So you get in on the cold side, like for maybe 20 seconds, then you switch. You come to the warm side, maybe for 10 seconds, then you switch, between the two temperatures. Yeah. So
what does that do for you?
So what that does for you is that it's because when your energy is not balanced in your nervous system, the flow of energy, right? Like a person who's maybe overthinking, it means that most of the energy has moved from all other parts of your body to your head or to your brain. Right? That's when you're overthinking, right? But then when you do this hydrotherapy, your energy is forced to
balance out.
to be balanced, because now each and every part of your body needs to be activated. Right? When you get inside the ice bath, every single part of your body is engaged. So there's equal distribution of the energy flow, right? So when you switch between the two temperatures, you are basically creating that balance. You understand? So what I was just saying is that there's many different ways to actually do therapy. But within Black communities, it's very difficult because we only think therapy is talk. And even if it's talk, we still stigmatize it because we don't see it as something that can work. Well, what are your views on that?
Well, look, firstly, I'd like to say that the biggest stigma is that there needs to be something wrong with you, or you need to have like some sort of mental illness or experience some sort of trauma to go to therapy.
100.
Which is not always the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, therapy helps you to discover yourself as a person so that you can find ways to deal with certain things like trauma or processing your thoughts, because some people don't know how to do that on their own, so they need help. So people think that therapy is sitting down and talking to someone and that's it, but that person's helping you to find ways in order for you to help yourself, essentially, so that you don't have to always rely on another person, and you're teaching your brain how to deal with certain things, because there's certain things that some of us can't handle. And so therapy is not only for when you have a problem. I went to therapy when I was 11, and I'm so grateful that I went to it as a preteen, right? Because there's certain influences as a teenager when stepping into the teenage world, right? That happen that you don't know. And so therapy, I knew my core self before going into so I knew what I stood for. And so those things couldn't shake me, right? I was able to deal with certain social situations because I went to therapy. Yeah.
Therapy within the sphere of the Black community. It's needed because most of Black people, as soon as they feel flooded, it can be compression of the mind, it can be being strained from your body and you start feeling some type of a way. We resort to substances. It's common in other fields.
Self-medication.
Entertainment industry. It's common to people like that. In order for you to function, you're going to need to take something.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's very important to understand also, and you're raising a very important point, that that's how we actually end up with a lot of drug addicts. Because if you study them and also sit down with them, you will understand that, their stories are deeper than just drugs.
Yeah. There's a certain level of compression when it comes to the mind and the life lived experiences, traumas that took place. So it becomes challenging to educate the Black society based on mental health and therapy, how important it is. Because if you take a look at industries like, I'll make reference to the music industry. A lot of artists, they're suffering from mental health illness, we have a large number of artists who committed suicide, and it's something that people downplay. I was in the entertainment industry, music specifically, behind the scenes though. You see it vividly clear on people, even through communicating with them. Like, you can tell that this person is not okay.
Yeah.
There's something that is not aligning. It all comes back to being tired, the work expectancy that you put in, and the things you do on a regular, considering that even your body doesn't grant you allowance to like have even break, knowing that this is the time that I rest, this is the time that I work. It's always fluctuating, like volleyball when they circulate within the field. So it becomes something challenging, but we need to educate more. There's nothing wrong with it. Therapy doesn't mean that you are sick. You are sick like that. You're mentally challenged and compressed, but it's good. It helps for rejuvenating you as a human being and being in alignment with being proper.
Yeah. Get?
Just to end this off with numbers and facts.
Yeah.
So studies show that only 25% of black people seek or believe in therapy.
25%?
Yes.
Wow.
And out of that 25%, only 10% are men, black men, which is interesting, knowing the fact that black men have the highest mental health rates in the society today. And also they've reported the highest number of suicides. Which is black men. And I think that mostly it's a cultural thing as well. You know how it's shunned in our culture to seek therapy. They'll say it's witchcraft when you have a mental illness, or they'll say that you're seeking attention. It's never taken seriously. It will never be a thing that your brain needs help. It's seen as a weakness.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why that there's this, like, people just don't want to seek therapy because they don't want to be seen as weak.
I get about a monna leking ku. So
Ke bona ba re
how can you
shapang
become a
banna ba
ship?
basalle.
Why, bo?
Just
we can go on and on with this one.
Yeah.
But for the interest of time, let's move to the next one. Something is boiling there in Namibia. Congratulations to Netembu Nandi Ndaitwa, who is the fifth president of Namibia since 21 March 2025. That's when she was inaugurated. She is 72 years old. She was born on the 29th of October 1952. She has served as the vice president of Namibia between 2024 and 2025. And then she ran for elections in 2025 and became the fifth president of Namibia. And then also she was the first deputy minister of the foreign affairs in Namibia, right?
Yeah.
And she's the first female president in Namibia. What we are looking at here is a different phase in terms of political leadership, especially in the African continent. I know there are other countries as well that have female leaders, or that have previously, served with a female head of state.
Yes.
I think, what are those countries?
We have a few. I focused on the African countries.
Okay, yes, in Africa.
So in Liberia, we had Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She served from January 2006 to January 2018.
Okay.
And then we have Joyce Hilda Banda of Malawi. She served April 2012 until May 2014. And then we have Sal Work Zwit. I hope I said that right.
Okay.
From Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And her term was from October 2018 till today. And then we also have Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, who is also still the current president since March 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's quite a few African countries where we see that women have become head of state. And this article, Namibia is basically introducing, sorry, can I just find it? Yeah. To revoke the visa-free access to more than 30 countries, which includes United States and the UK.
Yeah.
This is attributed to the lack of reciprocal visa arrangements for Namibia passport holders. And it shortly comes after the inauguration of the president. So it's basically because we're tired of being the ones that are giving, but we're not getting anything from it.
Yeah.
So she came in, she was like, she's tired because it makes no sense if you actually look at it, especially for countries like Germany who contribute a lot to the tourism in Namibia. And yet it's a one-sided agreement, as so it seems.
Yeah.
So she's aiming to bring equality. Well, we're trade partners, right? And we're both benefiting from this. So why is it that I have to work 10 times harder to go into your country, but it's easier for you to come into mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And so I think following Cyril's stand against the US, other African head of states are also taking notice to say that actually it doesn't make sense that we're still sort of begging these people. Whereas this economy, we're helping each other. It's no longer one-sided.
Yeah.
No longer seems as though they're the ones helping us. They need us just as much as we need them.
Yeah.
And so it makes no sense that we have to fight this hard in 2025. So, yeah, I really like the fact that more African countries are starting to take notice that we shouldn't be standing for all of this.
Yeah, so some of the countries here that are going to actually be affected by this new policy from Namibia is America, Denmark, Canada, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, Italy, France, United Kingdom, and Germany. And there's many others as well on that list. I think
Kazakhstan.
There's more than 33 countries.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I don't blame her. You know, actually, I think her decision is part of the African Union's mission to actually unite the African continent in the sense that they could also start to have a place in the global table, where they can a seat at the global table, where they can now contribute to the world equally and can be heard equally. Because for so many years, African states have been suppressed, excluded, and looked down upon. But when you look at the other parts of the world, like the West, they are actually enriching themselves with what they are actually getting from this continent. But the continent has never been given a chance to actually be out there. I mean, you look at even in the United Nations Security Council, there's no single African country that sits there. You understand?
It's
but
crazy.
these people are deciding on
For us.
on the rest of the world, saying it's United Nations, and you've got a continent that has over 50 states, and none of those states is sitting in the Security Council. And all your companies that are here, that are sitting in that G7 group, they're all trading in that continent. So for me, this new president is someone that we've always been waiting for. Is the Messiah. It's the Jesus of our time. Bo Ibrahim Traore. You know, that's our Ibrahim Traore version, plus their next door here. You know, but I'm interested in finding out what you have to say to wrap this one up.
It's quite impressive considering. Firstly, congratulations to President Nandi, and I saw at the inauguration, the leadership of Mkhonto Sizwe was there. President Zuma was there as well, Foy Shivambu, and if I'm not mistaken, Tudizile was there as well. So it shows that women are taking up leadership position within the sphere of this world, and it's a good thing, even though it's happening at a slow rate.
It's about time.
Then I would have loved it to happen, because I think a different set of mind plays a significant role within society than the common one. So if we have more females within high-ranking or peak hierarchy positions within the government fraternity, it makes a lot of sense, and it brings about new ideas, creativity, and development of the girl child being confident to do it, regardless of what has happened. Now, the policy shift that they undertook, It was in communication from last year, July, if I'm not mistaken. So it ran to its finalization on the 1st of April. The excluded countries on the visa relation, hence you've stated them. I think it's fair and it's a good development for Namibia and the African continent countries. You can't have to roll out a red carpet for people from Europe, and then when you go to Europe, they don't do the same for you. That presidential stature of respect, it's gone. It's not gonna happen. We need to be on an equal basis when it comes to you coming to serve me in my continent or my country. You need to respect me the same way I respect you when I'm in your land.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to spearhead this, and I wish more countries could follow up when it comes to this. It's very important so that we become equal when it comes to laws and policies with outside countries.
Definitely. Yeah, no, definitely on what Kat said, it's a step in the right direction. And following, like, I wish other African countries can see what the South is doing so that they know that, like, guys, it's time. There's never gonna be the perfect time to stand up and fight. And so there's no better time than the present. So I think it's a step in the right direction in terms of the new world order. Yeah.
All right. We're still in the south. We've got a problem in South Africa, Orania. April on the 23rd of April in 1994. This is when I guess it was made official. Although when I search, I see that the Orania as a land was bought as a private property.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was bought, and the sources are not really clear because some sources are saying in 1990, some are saying in 1991. 40 Afrikaners families, which made up about 300 Afrikaners, came together and purchased a land that used to be somehow an abandoned water project in the Northern Cape.
Okay.
And buying that property, meaning that they can do whatever they like because it's a private property. But it seems like they've taken it so far to an extent that now they believe that they are a nation within a nation. Private property rights, they are there, but they are also limiting.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if our president and the government, can do something about this, because it's something that a lot of people have been crying about. Now we're seeing the EFF as well coming in and saying, we're taking these guys to court because they're dividing the country further.
Yeah. So the EFF is basically saying that they don't understand how this place came to be in the first place, right? Like you're saying, in 1990, families came together. The founder being, interestingly enough, the son-in-law of Hendrik Verwoerd.
Yeah.
He's the founder of Orania. They came together and they decided that
Boshoff.
Yes, they don't want. So basically, what they're saying is they did not want to be under majority rule, meaning the ANC.
Yeah, the ANC. Black.
Black.
Yeah.
So they're saying that they would rather have a say. So they bought this private property because they wanted to govern themselves. They don't want to be governed by the ANC. And they're saying that this is a place for people who share the same values as them and share like Afrikaans values, core values. So essentially they're trying to defend and say it's not racist. Everyone is allowed here. You just have to speak Afrikaans. You have to follow their culture, believe in what they believe in. Also, you need to believe that apartheid wasn't that bad.
Wow, is that? Wait.
Essentially. So
wait, is that something that they put out there, or it's just the sense of what we're getting?
They have a museum in Orania, where there's apartheid artifacts like the statue of Hendrik Verwoerd, the old South African flag, which has been banned by the way. You're not allowed to hang that flag up.
By the Constitutional Court.
But it's at this museum. So they're basically saying they want to preserve their history being apartheid.
Of course.
And they're saying that no one stopped to think about how it affected them.
How did it affect them?
I don't know. But they're basically saying that they want to be heard just as much as all the other ethnic groups. They deserve a place where they can follow their beliefs and it not be challenged, and it shouldn't be called racist.
I mean, you want to be heard. Heard from what? Like, honestly, those people, if you check Orania is situated along the Karoo region. Ne? So you need to understand there is the Northern Cape. Northern Cape, it's known for some resources that were there. How certain are we that wherever they are situated, these people, hence you referenced that it was founded in the 90s, early 90s, ne? How certain are we that there are minerals that are...
Oh, no, they definitely are.
Where they're situated.
They definitely are. I mean, looking at the expenditure of Orania alone, their minimum wage is 6,000 Rand. This is a state within a country whose minimum wage is nowhere close to that. And now they're fighting for independence. They want to be an independent state. That means that the expenditure of this town is extremely high. Where are they getting the money from?
Yeah, and we haven't really questioned. Of course, they strive for this self-determination philosophy, but like we've never really taken time to question whether these people are receiving funds from even outside of
they definitely are
the country. Like right now they were direct about it right now.
Yes, with AfriForum.
Yeah, with AfriForum, and also going to the US. They sent their leadership to the US to say they're going to Ghana for funding.
Yes.
So that they can use that funding to further advance their interest of self-determination and separation from the South African government. So which means they're already getting funds.
How arrogant must you be to go into land that is stolen and claim independence? Because...
Yeah, they don't believe that the land... Remember, this type of people, they don't believe in that narrative of the land was was taken by force and what. They don't believe in that.
They're delusional in other ways.
Yeah, they'll tell you the...
Yes.
No,
I'm just asking.
They'll tell you their ancestors were here in the 1600s.
Whoa.
That's what they will tell you. That those are the truths of the past. We live in the present moment right now.
Nah, bro. Nah.
That's just how it is. That's what they think. That's what they think, literally, yeah.
I dare one of
that's
them.
That's their reality.
I dare one of them to come and tell me in front of my eyeballs.
Bro.
See, but that's the thing with these kind of people, that they're not outright about their racism. They sugarcoat it, they hide it.
Yeah.
Of course.
There's certain words that they'll use in order to be like, no, we're not the problem. Like, we want what you want. We also want democracy. We must also be heard. Forgetting that y'all forcefully took... We're still trying to get it back. We don't have our land back. We're still trying to get it back from these very people that are telling us that they bought a private property and so they deserve to... Like, come on, guys.
It comes back to them saying that it's okay for us to do our own thing if we like.
Yeah, they've also shared their blueprint with
let me tell you where the problem lies
in the Eastern
doing
Cape.
Our own thing.
Us, yeah.
Let me tell you where the problem lies with doing our own thing.
Yeah.
The president of the BLF, Andile Mkritama, 9 years ago, he
Yeah.
wanted to do his own thing with the BLF.
Yeah.
Like first,
Yeah.
land first.
They said he was racist.
Yeah.
AfriForum, the lobby group, they came guns blazing. Those were the first people. Now, we wanted to do our own thing. Why are they depriving us? Or select or this is the right thing that you're supposed to do.
Because we'll never have our own thing. We must do our own thing their way.
Their way.
Yeah.
Their way.
But shame, I want to go to Orania. It sounds like it's popping in Orania.
What do you want to do there?
Yeah?
Cat, what you want to do there?
I mean, there's wealth there. Me, I'm trying to get the land back, dog. So maybe if I go to Orania, I know how to speak Afrikaans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can make them believe I'm there for them also.
Yeah.
But I want the land back because clearly there's money in Orania.
Straight up. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Considering that we don't even know what length of land do they have?
You'll never know. You can't trust the internet to things like that.
Yeah, they say when they, I think right now, the land is sitting at about 8,000 hectares.
Yeah.
But what they did was they've also been buying farms that are close by.
Buying.
Yeah, they've
Do you
been
guys
buying.
believe they are honestly buying
They're
these
not
farms?
buying, they're just getting farms.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way.
No, they've been advancing their land, connecting it with their close by farms.
Yeah.
So, which means now at a later stage we're going to look at a bigger size of Orania.
Yeah.
And another thing is they so they believe in self-determination to an extent of even having their own currency.
Yes, the aura.
Yes,
It
and
is not the right aura. That
I was checking how much is it compared to the rand today,
And
because
what
they've got
were your
this.
discoveries?
Yeah,
What were your discoveries?
my discovery is that the aura is actually is actually less than the rand.
Expected.
Yeah, it's actually less than the rand. So when you have about 1 rand, you will have about 6.35 auras, right? Or 6 rand
35 cents.
35 cents.
Yeah.
Auras. So basically it's a bit, but their aim is to
Yes,
take
they're
it
trying
to
to
a
grow
point,
the value of their currency.
to take it to a point where it can compete with South African rand equally.
Yeah.
Although they have their own currency,
Yeah.
the rand is still
yeah.
still a trading currency in Orania.
Yeah.
You can still be able to buy goods, purchase, do business,
Yeah.
especially with large payments, online payments, digital payments. They still use the rand, but they have their own bank as well inside, the town. They've got their own schools. This is an interesting part. They also hold elections for the Orania Representative Council every 5 years.
Then they deploy themselves.
And listen to this part. The elections are held on the same date that the country South Africa
why?
is actually
But why?
To make their people believe that it's democratic, that
So when
they're voting just like we are voting.
So in 2027, I think 2027 we're voting in 2027, right?
Yes.
For the local municipalities.
Government election. Yeah.
Yeah, they will also be voting, but they will be voting for the Orania Representative Council.
Okay, since you said there are schools and banks, are the people who are working in those things qualified?
No, look, we don't know. But I believe that since there are people,
But it doesn't matter.
They are qualified enough for Orania.
They are qualified for their own things. It's okay. It's okay.
Like, it's not a question of if they're qualified or not. Really, they believe that those people are qualified clearly. And so...
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So these are the things that we see here in South Africa. But there's an interesting part. Who actually signed? Who actually sold that place?
The apartheid government.
To the Orania guys? Because if it was sold between 1990 and 1991,
It was the apartheid government.
we don't have the democratic government as yet. We have the GNU, right? And the sunset clause and whatsoever. Between that transitional period.
Yeah.
So my question is, the accord on Afrikaners' self-determination was signed on the 23rd of April in 1994. That's 4 days before the actual elections. And that raises
you said
a little bit of questions there.
Pardon me. Let's go back to the date.
Guess who's signing as well?
Yeah.
23 April.
Yeah.
On the 27th of April, this is Freedom Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
27th, it symbolizes our first day of elections,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's why it's Freedom Day. So I'm saying in 1994, 4 days before we held the elections, the Freedom Front, the ANC, and the National Party signed the Accord on Afrikaner Self-Determination, which is the reason that Afrikaners now ended up saying we want our own potion.
Do you I just want to ask something. Let me pick your mind there. Do you think it was discussed in the CODESA meeting, maybe this Orania thing.
I wouldn't say
Tricky.
I wouldn't say the name Orania in the specific area was discussed,
But something
but I think
along the line.
along
because
the lines.
because if they speak about self-determination, basically it means that because if you look up if you see that the whole thing was actually formalized between 1990 and 1991, right? CODESA then takes place somewhere between 1991 and 1993, I think.
Yeah. From December 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
So you can see that before the negotiations actually started, they had already purchased a certain property.
Okay.
Because remember, who's in government at that time? Is the apartheid
Okay.
government.
Let us refrain from the word purchased. We are not sure. We don't know what they.
No,
did.
of course, they said
Yeah.
it was purchased for like 1.5 million.
Yeah, it could be their word.
Which right now is something like 585,000 US dollars.
Okay.
In South African rands, it's 1.5 million.
Okay. Even though I don't believe they purchased. Okay. Yeah.
So that's how the story goes.
Yeah.
The government knew that they are going out of government because first they're going to enter into these negotiations.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they're going to hand over. It was clear.
So Orania was
Yeah.
one of their many contingency plans.
Yes, because they sold
We are
it.
losing, so to save what little we might have,
Yeah.
we need to buy this so we have some sort of control.
Yes, so that by the time we go out of power, just like they did with the laws in the
Literally
in the
everything.
Constitution.
Yeah.
They
No,
did
because-
that with everything.
The Constitution was not drafted by ANC people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was not drafted by the ANC people alone. It was mostly a collaboration
True.
between the sitting government of that time and
the
the
upcoming-
liberation movements, right? But at the same time, the liberation movements have been overseen by the government, by the
True, by
sitting
the-
government.
yeah.
They've got some points, they've got some leverages, but at the end of the day, the constitution, they say we've got the best constitution. I
We
don't
really
think so.
don't.
I
It takes us back
concur
to
with what you're saying. We
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
it takes us back to us saying like people are saying that the black people are corrupt and the government is corrupt and whatever. The constitution was set by them, by the previous government, right? The apartheid
Yeah.
government. Whilst
Yeah.
through their exit, they said these things. What other things did they set, making us believe that, oh, this is freedom? Meanwhile, they set in traps for us because they knew we'd fail.
Yeah.
So then they were like, okay, let's see how far they'll get. It's one of those many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, man.
Okay, guys, let's wrap it up like this. Let's touch a little bit more on the tariffs. We've seen
Yes.
the sitting president, Mr. Donald Trump, now being very
Mr. Shame.
Yeah.
What's his name?
You're
it's
awarding
Donald,
him
you're
a
right.
lot of respect.
Mr. D.
Mr. Donald
Mr. D.
Trump.
Mr. D.
Oh, you can call him Mr. D.
I like a better word to use. It's Mr. D.
Okay, cool. So he's imposing tariffs on a number of states or countries.
Yeah.
South Africa is included. China is included. Countries like Botswana, I don't know why.
Shameless, it was sitting at 50%.
Botswana, like
crazy,
a whole lot of countries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've tried to really understand Trump's strategy, but maybe I'm not fit to be in that position, so to understand things at that highest level. But if I had to predict, I think this is the beginning of the fall of America.
Finally.
Indirectly, in the sense that the USA can never win a trade war against China.
No.
The USA doesn't stand a chance to win a war against China militarily.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because we've got three superpowers right now.
That have come together. Yeah.
We've got three superpowers. We've got, obviously, the USA.
Yeah.
That has been the bully for so many years.
Yeah.
We've got China.
Yeah.
That has said, we will learn from you.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
And
we'll
we'll-
build something better than you.
Shot.
And then we've got Russia, who is like, I can work with you, but if you come to my territory, our relationship will end very soon.
Yeah.
But we know, but within these three superpowers, there's one enemy. which is the US. China and Russia, they have good relationships.
True.
So if USA will decide to go to war with China, we know how war works.
Yeah.
It's always about aligning yourself. Are you with China? Are you with the USA? That's how, even if you look at the World War, a lot of countries from Africa had to borrow their military personnel to a certain country so they can go and fight in the World War. So if it's a war of superpowers, obviously people have to take sides.
Yeah.
And I don't see many powerful countries militarily wise taking side of the USA. Iraq is definitely going to take a side of the China part.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, that as the USA president, are you still delusional to think that you were once this famous celebrity and now these TikTokers have came in and they're taking over the market and you still think you are relevant?
I think the thing that makes Mr. D, hence you said, the thing that makes the president of America seem to be this delusional is the fact that he was once in office. He came back.
Yeah.
Now, you coming back to usher a new administration. So the previous one had built to a certain level and certain relationships with other countries like your South Korea, your Japan, and what's so not. Now, Trump comes in, he breaks all those relationships. For him, it looks like something that is gonna work in the long run, but then he's not realizing that he's mending other relationships on the side from people who were like quite enemies.
Yeah.
They had
They now have a common reason.
they have a common reason to go forward at contesting this tariffs and increases and what's on. Just like China and Japan and South Korea. South Korea had a great relationship with the United States of America since from the Biden administration. So now it's a new administration that has been ushered. Now things go back to zero, which is going to grant people the opportunity to strengthen and join forces in a common goal of defeating the common enemy, which is America.
Neo Letwalo, I think I'm going to have him on the podcast sometime. He wrote an article with the ENCA that says that America is actually paving the way for China to become the next superpower.
Hence, I'm saying the New World Order. You can't possibly think that Japan, South Korea, and China, these countries have bad history, by the way. They went to war against each other, but they've chosen to put that aside. That's 100 years of bad history.
You look
that
at
they're
Taiwan.
putting aside.
Like China has been like trying to.
Yeah, and they're coming
Taiwan
together now. And these are superpowers. They don't need the US. They've learned from them and they've become very big in trade. And now they're coming together and they're saying, we don't need these people. We don't need him. We can just do our own thing. So Trump, it's not even that he's delusional. It's an ego thing. Trump is running a country based on emotion. And that's never going to work. And hence why I'm saying this new world order, yes, America's it's falling apart, but the rest of us, we're coming together.
Yeah, considering the fact that you mentioned Taiwan, the United States had a good relationship with Taiwan. I still even remember previously they would send their 52nd Speaker of the House of the Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, to Taiwan just to mediate on issues and make sure that they strengthen their ties in fighting the common goal of the Asia and with the Russia and what's so not. There's something that the president of the Russian Federation said, Vladimir Putin. He was like, the world is sick. So when the world is sick, it has two heads now. It needs to decide which faculty or which direction is it going to take. So us as a country, we are in a good position. BRICS should come into effect.
Yes.
I think it's time.
It is
regardless of whatever foreign sanctions we may get, but then it's time to stand up for ourselves. We are not alone. We have a backing of people that really are with us within building and taking a different route at progressing as a country. It's very imperative. We shouldn't be scared of change.
Yes.
If we're going to lean more into the Chinese market as a country, it's good. Let us lean on the Chinese market. It'll help develop our skills better. Technological side will be at a better aspect. Like, those are important things that we need to consider. We can't always claim our light on the United States of America.
True.
It doesn't bear any fruits for us anymore. It's a
Let's
nation
move on,
thing.
guys.
We need to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the multipolar world is inevitable right now. When you
Yeah.
think about things that the USA, the direction and the attitude towards USA, man, it's like
It's shifted.
because for the longest time we lived in a unipolar world where there's this one bully that
Yes.
decides, that if you interact with him because he's my enemy, I'm going to sanction you.
Yeah.
And because they owned the financial system. But financial
Hence-
system, let's not make no mistake. Financial system is still owned by the USA.
True.
Right? But there's now a bigger room for other parts of the world and other players in the world to actually create their own financial system, right?
yeah.
Because the USA sanction, the reason why people are so afraid of the USA sanction is because of it will take you out of the
system.
yeah, the financial
system, yeah.
You won't be able to do business.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
won't trade.
country's economy is business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have touched on a lot of stuff. And I see Toby saying we must wrap up now because otherwise we're gonna have a challenge.
Yeah.
So no, guys, thank you so much for this episode. I think it was a great one.
Shout out.
Looking forward to the next one. So let's keep doing this week in, week out. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have been watching up until this time, I just want to take this moment to just speak to you to say this is a new segment, right? And if it's a new segment, a lot of ideas are going to be tried out. We dropped last time 3 p.m. I'm hoping that that will be our dropping times. But if we see the analytics performing in a certain way, maybe we might be able to consider a different time in terms of dropping. But for at least, if you can allow us, at least for the first 10 episodes to just play around, in terms of a whole lot of things, thumbnail, titles, whatsoever, until we get it right. And in terms of the content that we're talking about here, you're welcome to correct us in the comment section. You're welcome to bring upon your suggestions. You're also welcome to criticize us and disagree with us because we disagree, the three of us. So I don't think that it will be fair to say you need to agree with us all the time. But we do that respectively, and we continue to correct ourselves moving forward.
We're also just here to learn. That's what people should, like, as much as we're trying to inform the rest of the world, we also are here to learn. And so trial and error is going to happen a lot.
Certainly.
All right. See you on the next one, guys. Cheers.